She was dying in hospital. Her billionaire CEO ex rushed to save her and discovered she's pregnant. "Mr. Cole, I need you to sit down for this." Dr. Martinez's voice carried the weight of life-changing news as she held the test results in her trembling hands. "Just tell me she's going to be okay." Rex Cole's voice was raw with exhaustion after 36 hours by Thessaly's bedside. "Tell me the treatment worked." "The treatment did work. She's stable. She's going to recover fully. But there's something else. Something we discovered in her blood work that changes everything." "What are you talking about?" "Thessaly is pregnant, Mr. Cole. About 8 weeks along." The silence that followed was deafening. Rex stared at the doctor as if she had spoken in a foreign language, his billion-dollar empire forgotten in the face of this impossible revelation. "That's not possible. We broke up 8 months ago. She made it clear she never wanted to see me again. The timeline fits perfectly. She would have been pregnant when she left you." Rex's world tilted on its axis as he looked through the glass at the woman who had disappeared from his life without explanation, taking his heart and apparently his child with her. She knew. She knew, and she didn't tell me. Have you ever gotten a call that changed everything in an instant? Have you ever realized too late that you pushed away the only person who could save you? What would you do if saving someone meant facing the biggest mistake of your life? This is the story of a woman who sacrificed love to save a life. A billionaire who would move mountains for someone who broke his heart. And a secret that could change everything. Stay with me, because what Rex discovers in that hospital room will shatter everything he thought he knew about their breakup, their love, and the lengths someone will go to protect the person they love most. If you believe in second chances when everything seems lost, hit that like button now, because this journey will test everything you think you know about sacrifice, love, and the power of truth. The boardroom of Cole Pharmaceuticals occupied the entire 42nd floor of the gleaming Manhattan skyscraper, its floor-to-ceiling windows offering a commanding view of the city below. Rex Cole sat at the head of the mahogany conference table, his steel-gray eyes focused intently on the acquisition documents spread before him. At 34, he was the youngest CEO in the pharmaceutical industry, having built his father's modest company into a global empire worth over $12 billion. The Henderson Biotech deal is worth $3.7 billion, his CFO was saying, gesturing to the projected financial charts. "It gives us exclusive access to their cancer research pipeline and puts us 5 years ahead of our closest competitor." Rex nodded, his mind calculating profit margins and market dominance with the precision that had made him legendary in corporate circles. This deal would cement Cole Pharmaceuticals as the undisputed leader in oncology research, a personal mission that had driven him since his mother's death from cancer when he was 15. Timeline for closing. Rex's voice was crisp, authoritative. 2 weeks if we can get Henderson to agree to our terms on the intellectual property rights. Make it happen. Whatever it takes. The buzz of Rex's private cell phone cut through the boardroom tension like a knife. He glanced at the screen and frowned. Dr. Elena Martinez. He didn't recognize the number, but something about the late hour and the unfamiliar contact made his stomach clench with unease. "Take 5 minutes, he told the room full of executives. "We'll resume with the regulatory compliance review." Rex stepped into his private office and answered the call. "Rex Cole." "Mr. Cole, this is Dr. Elena Martinez at Mount Sinai Hospital. I'm calling about Thessaly Monroe." The name hit Rex like a physical blow. Thessaly Monroe. The woman who had walked out of his life 8 months ago without explanation, leaving behind only a cold note that she never wanted to see him again. The woman who had taken his heart and apparently decided it wasn't worth keeping. "What about her?" His voice came out harder than he intended. "Mr. Cole, she's been admitted to our ICU in critical condition. She's been poisoned, and her organs are shutting down. She asked for you specifically." The words didn't make sense. Rex found himself gripping the phone so tightly his knuckles went white. "That's impossible. She made it very clear she wanted nothing to do with me. Sir, she's dying. She may not make it through the night, and your name was the only one she would give us as an emergency contact." Rex's office seemed to spin around him. Through the glass walls, he could see his board of directors waiting patiently for his return, billions of dollars in deals hanging in the balance. 8 months ago, that would have been all that mattered. 8 months ago, before Thessaly Monroe had taught him that some things were more valuable than money or power. "What hospital?" "Mount Sinai, ICU level 7. Mr. Cole, Time is critical. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Rex disconnected the call and stared out at the city lights below, his reflection ghost-like in the window. Thessaly was dying. The woman who had shattered his world was asking for him in what might be her final hours. Every rational part of his mind told him to stay away, to protect himself from whatever game she might be playing. But his heart, the part of him that had never stopped loving her despite everything, was already reaching for his jacket. He pushed through the boardroom doors with the decisive energy that had built his empire. Meeting's over. Johnson, handle the Henderson negotiations. Martinez, deal with the regulatory filing. I want updates every 4 hours. Sir, the deal deadline. Handle it. Rex's tone brooked no argument. I have an emergency. Within minutes, Rex was in his private elevator, his mind racing as the floors flicked by. He pulled out his phone and dialed his head of security. Marcus, I need the helicopter ready for immediate medical transport. Mount Sinai Hospital. And I want you to contact Dr. James Whitfield at Johns Hopkins, Dr. Sarah Chun at Stanford, and Dr. David Reeves at Massachusetts General. Tell them Rex Cole needs them in New York tonight. Money no object. Yes, sir. Any particular specialty? Toxicology. Someone's been poisoned, and I want the best minds in the country working on it. As Rex's helicopter lifted off from the Cole Pharmaceuticals helipad, the city sprawled beneath him like a circuit board of light and shadow. He couldn't stop thinking about the last time he had seen Thessaly, 8 months ago in his penthouse apartment. She had been distant for weeks, cold in a way that was completely unlike the passionate, brilliant woman he had fallen in love with. I can't do this anymore, Rex. Her voice had been flat, emotionless, as she packed her things into a single suitcase. Can't do what? Talk to me, Thessaly. Whatever's wrong, we can work through it. There's nothing to work through. This was a mistake. We're too different. We want different things. That's not true. Yesterday you were talking about our future, about the research foundation we wanted to start together. Yesterday I was being naive. She hadn't looked at him as she spoke, her hands moving mechanically as she folded clothes and gathered books. You're a billionaire pharmaceutical CEO. I'm a research scientist who makes $50,000 a year. We were playing house, but it was never real. You know that's not true. Money doesn't matter to me, not when it comes to us. Everything matters to you, Rex. Your company, your reputation, your image. I'm just a complication you can't afford. The cruelty in her words had stunned him. This wasn't the Thessaly who had spent hours in his arms talking about changing the world, who had made him believe that love could be more powerful than ambition. This was a stranger wearing her face, speaking words that felt rehearsed and hollow. If that's really how you feel, then go. He had been too hurt, too proud to fight for what they had. But don't pretend this is about money or social differences. If you want to leave, just be honest about why. She had looked at him then, and for just a moment, he had seen something flicker in her dark eyes. Pain, maybe, or regret. But then the mask had slipped back into place. I'm being as honest as I can be. That had been the last time they spoke. She had left her key on his kitchen counter and walked out of his life as completely as if she had never existed. For weeks, Rex had thrown himself into work, telling himself he was better off without someone who could discard their relationship so easily. But late at night, in the silence of his empty penthouse, he couldn't shake the feeling that there had been more to her leaving than she had admitted. Now, 8 months later, she was dying and asking for him. Nothing about this made sense. The helicopter touched down on the Mount Sinai helipad just as Rex's phone buzzed with confirmations from the specialists he had requested. Dr. Whitfield was already en route from Baltimore. Dr. Chun was boarding a plane in San Francisco, and Dr. Reeves would arrive within the hour. Money, Rex had learned long ago, could move mountains when time was critical. Dr. Elena Martinez met him at the elevator doors to the ICU, her scrubs rumpled and her face drawn with exhaustion. She was a small woman in her 50s with kind eyes and the steady demeanor of someone who had delivered difficult news many times before. Mr. Cole, thank you for coming so quickly. How is she? Critical, but stable. We've managed to counteract some of the poison's effects, but her liver and kidneys are still in distress. The next 12 hours will be crucial. They walked quickly through the antiseptic corridors of the ICU, past rooms filled with the soft beeping of machines and the hushed conversations of medical staff. Rex's heart hammered against his ribs as they approached room 717. What kind of poison? Rex's voice was steady, but his hands were clenched into fists at his sides. Something sophisticated, not a common household toxin or street drug. This was specifically designed to shut down organ function slowly, to mimic natural illness until it was too late to treat effectively. Someone tried to murder her. That would be my assessment, yes. Dr. Martinez stopped outside the room and turned to face him. Mr. Cole, I have to ask, do you have any idea who might want to hurt Miss Monroe? Rex's mind raced through possibilities. Thessaly was a medical researcher, brilliant but not famous, dedicated to her work but not involved in anything controversial as far as he knew. Who would want to kill a scientist who spent her days trying to cure diseases? No. Thessaly is the most gentle person I've ever known. She dedicated her life to helping people. Well, someone clearly saw her as a threat. Dr. Martinez placed her hand on the door handle. Mr. Cole, I should prepare you. She's unconscious, on a ventilator, with multiple machines monitoring her vital functions. It's not easy to see someone you care about in this condition. Rex nodded, steeling himself for whatever lay beyond that door. But nothing could have prepared him for the sight of Thessaly Monroe connected to machines that were keeping her alive. She looked impossibly small in the hospital bed, her dark hair spread across the white pillow like spilled ink. Her olive skin had a grayish pallor that made Rex's chest tighten with fear, and the steady rhythm of the ventilator was the only thing keeping her breathing. Tubes and wires connected her to monitors that beeped and flashed with the fragile evidence of life. Jesus. The word escaped Rex as a whisper. We're doing everything we can, Dr. Martinez said softly. The specialist you've arranged will help us explore every possible treatment option. Rex moved to Thessaly's bedside, his heart breaking at how vulnerable she looked. This was the woman who had challenged him intellectually, who had made him laugh until his sides ached, who had looked at his wealth and power and seen only the man underneath. She had been the strongest person he knew, and now she lay helpless, fighting for every breath. Has she been conscious at all? Briefly, when the paramedics brought her in. That's when she asked for you. She was very insistent that we contact Rex Cole, even though she could barely speak. Rex reached out tentatively and touched Thessaly's hand. Her skin was cold, and he could feel how fragile she had become. What happened? How was she found? A neighbor called 911 when she heard Thessaly collapse in her apartment. By the time paramedics arrived, she was already unconscious. We estimate she had been poisoned 6 to 8 hours before that. Her apartment. I didn't know she had moved. According to her ID, she's been living at an address in Queens for the past 7 months. 7 months. Just 1 month after she had left him, Thessaly had apparently started a new life in a completely different part of the city. The thought that she had been so close, yet so completely out of his reach, made Rex's chest ache with renewed loss. I want round-the-clock security on this room, Rex said suddenly. If someone tried to kill her once, they might try again. Mr. Cole, this is a hospital, not a fortress. Doctor, with respect, someone got close enough to Thessaly to poison her with a sophisticated toxin. That person is still out there, and if they wanted her dead badly enough to do this, they won't stop just because she's in a hospital. Rex's voice carried the authority of a man accustomed to getting his way. I'm bringing in my security team. They'll be discreet, but they'll be thorough. Dr. Martinez nodded reluctantly. I'll need to clear it with hospital administration. Consider it cleared. I'll handle the paperwork and the liability issues. Rex pulled out his phone and speed-dialed his head of security. Marcus, I need a full protection detail at Mount Sinai Hospital, room 717. Someone tried to kill her, which means they might try again. As Rex made arrangements for Thessaly's protection, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was something he was missing. 8 months ago, she had left him suddenly and completely. Now she was dying from what appeared to be a targeted assassination attempt. The timing couldn't be coincidental. Dr. Martinez, I need to know everything about Thessaly's life for the past 8 months. Where she worked, who she associated with, what research she was involved in. Mr. Cole, I understand your concern, but that's really a matter for the police. The police don't have my resources or my motivation. Rex's gray eyes were steel as he looked at the doctor. Someone tried to murder the woman I love. I'm going to find out who, and I'm going to make sure they can never hurt her again. The woman you love. Dr. Martinez's expression softened slightly. I thought you said you hadn't spoken in 8 months. Some things don't change, even when everything else does. Dr. Whitfield arrived first, a distinguished man in his 60s who was considered the foremost expert in toxicology on the East Coast. Rex had funded several of his research projects over the years, and the doctor's presence brought the first real hope Rex had felt since receiving the phone call. "James, thank you for coming." "Rex, of course. When you call about a poisoning case, I drop everything." Dr. Whitfield reviewed Thessaly's chart with the focused intensity of a master detective. "This is sophisticated work. The poison was designed to mimic organ failure from natural causes. If it hadn't been for the rapid onset and the specific combination of symptoms, we might never have identified it as intentional. Can you counteract it? We're already working on that. The question is whether we identified it in time to prevent permanent damage." Dr. Whitfield looked up from the chart. "Rex, who is this woman to you?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Who was Thessaly Monroe to Rex Cole? 8 months ago, he would have said she was the love of his life, the woman he wanted to spend forever with. Now, after her inexplicable abandonment and her mysterious reappearance in his life, he honestly didn't know. "She's someone I used to love very much," Rex said finally. "Someone who disappeared from my life without explanation. And now she's back, under the worst possible circumstances. Now she's back, and someone wants her dead." As the evening progressed, Dr. Chun and Dr. Reeves arrived, bringing with them additional expertise and experimental treatments that might save Thessaly's life. Rex watched from the corner of the room as the 3 specialists consulted over blood work and test results, their voices low and urgent as they debated treatment protocols. "The liver function is improving," Dr. Chun reported. "Whatever we're doing is working, but slowly. Kidney function is still concerning," Dr. Reeves added. "We need to consider dialysis if the numbers don't improve in the next 6 hours." Rex felt helpless in a way that was completely foreign to him. In boardrooms and business negotiations, he was always in control, always able to find a solution through strategy or resources. But here, watching machines keep Thessaly alive while toxins fought their way through her system, all his money and power meant nothing. "Mr. Cole." Dr. Martinez appeared at his elbow. "There's been a development. The police want to speak with you." Detective Sarah Williams was a compact woman with sharp eyes and the no-nonsense demeanor of someone who had seen too much violence in her career. She found Rex in the family waiting area, staring out at the city lights through the large windows. "Mr. Cole, I'm Detective Williams. I understand you're Miss Monroe's emergency contact." "That's right. Can you tell me about your relationship with her?" Rex chose his words carefully. "We were involved romantically until 8 months ago. We haven't spoken since then." "What was the nature of your breakup?" "She left. Said we were too different, that the relationship wasn't working." "Was it amicable?" Rex almost laughed at the question. "No, Detective. It was sudden and painful and made no sense to me at the time." "Do you have any idea who might want to hurt Miss Monroe?" "None. Thessaly is a medical researcher. Her work involves finding cures for diseases. I can't imagine anyone wanting to hurt her." Detective Williams made notes in her small notebook. "What about her current living situation? Do you know anything about her life for the past 8 months?" "Nothing. I didn't even know she had moved to Queens until tonight. We're processing her apartment for evidence, but it's been thoroughly cleaned. Whoever did this knew what they were doing." Rex's blood ran cold. Someone broke into her apartment. No signs of forced entry. Either she let them in, or they had a key. Detective Williams studied Rex's face carefully. "Mr. Cole, I have to ask, where were you between 2 and 10 p.m. today?" "In my office, in meetings. I can provide you with a dozen witnesses." "I'm sure you can." The detective's tone suggested she was far from convinced of Rex's innocence. "Mr. Cole, Miss Monroe is a research scientist who makes $50,000 a year. You're a billionaire pharmaceutical CEO. Help me understand why she would call for you when she's dying." It was a fair question, and one Rex had been asking himself since Dr. Martinez's phone call. "I don't know, Detective. 8 months ago, I would have said it was because she loved me. Now, I honestly have no idea. Well, someone wanted her dead badly enough to use a military-grade poison. That suggests she was involved in something bigger than basic medical research." As Detective Williams left to continue her investigation, Rex returned to Thessaly's room. The specialists had finished their consultation, and the monitors showed slight improvements in her vital signs. For the first time since arriving at the hospital, Rex allowed himself to hope. "She's responding to treatment," Dr. Whitfield reported. Her liver function is stabilizing, and her kidney numbers are improving. If this continues, she should regain consciousness within the next 12 to 24 hours. Rex sank into the chair beside Thessaly's bed, exhaustion hitting him like a physical weight. He had been running on adrenaline and desperation for hours, and now that the immediate crisis was passing, the emotional toll was catching up with him. "Thessaly," he said softly, taking her hand in his. "I don't know why you called for me, and I don't know what happened between us 8 months ago. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere until you're safe." Her hand was warmer than it had been hours earlier, and Rex imagined he could feel the faintest response to his touch. The monitors continued their steady rhythm, marking each heartbeat as a small victory against whatever poison had tried to steal her life. As the night wore on, Rex maintained his vigil beside Thessaly's bed. He dozed fitfully in the uncomfortable hospital chair, waking every few minutes to check her vital signs on the monitors. Nurses came and went, adjusting medications and recording data, their soft footsteps and quiet voices providing a constant background rhythm to his vigil. At 3 a.m., Rex's phone buzzed with a text from his head of security. "Apartment sweep complete. Found hidden files. You need to see this." Rex looked at Thessaly's peaceful face, torn between staying by her side and investigating what Marcus had discovered. But if someone had tried to kill her, he needed to understand why. The only way to protect her was to find the truth. "I'll be back," he whispered, squeezing her hand gently. "I promise." Marcus met Rex in the hospital parking garage, his expression grim as he handed over a manila folder filled with documents and photographs. "Boss, this changes everything." She wasn't just a research scientist. She was investigating something big, something that got her marked for death. Rex opened the folder under the harsh fluorescent lights of the parking garage, and his world shifted once again. The documents detailed a massive conspiracy involving several pharmaceutical companies, including some of Cole Pharmaceuticals' biggest competitors. Clinical trial data had been falsified, dangerous side effects had been covered up, and patients had died as a result of medications that should never have been approved. At the center of it all was Thessaly Monroe, whose research had uncovered the truth about the conspiracy. Her notes, written in her careful handwriting, documented months of investigation into corporate fraud that had cost lives and corrupted the very industry Rex had devoted his life to building. "Jesus Christ," Rex breathed. She was trying to expose them. "There's more." Marcus pointed to a series of threatening letters hidden in the back of the folder. Someone knew she was getting close to the truth. The letters were typed on plain paper, no signatures or identifying marks. But their message was clear and terrifying. "Stop digging or face the consequences. Your research ends now, or you do. Final warning. Walk away or be removed." Rex's hands shook as he read the threats against the woman he loved. "When were these dated?" "The last one was sent 2 weeks ago." Marcus's voice was heavy with implication. "Boss, I think she left you to protect you." The words hit Rex like a sledgehammer. All this time, he had believed that Thessaly had abandoned him because she didn't love him enough to fight for their relationship. But what if she had left because she loved him too much to put him in danger? What if her cruel words 8 months ago had been a lie designed to push him away before her investigation could threaten his life as well? She knew they would come after anyone close to her, Rex said, the pieces falling into place with devastating clarity. "She broke my heart to save my life. It looks that way. And when the threats escalated, she went underground. New apartment, new identity, kept investigating even though she knew it might get her killed." Rex stared at the evidence of Thessaly's courage and sacrifice, feeling like the world's biggest fool. While he had been nursing his wounded pride and telling himself he was better off without her, she had been fighting a war against corruption that threatened everything they both believed in. She had given up their love, their future, their happiness, to protect him from the consequences of her moral crusade. "I have to get back to her," Rex said, his voice thick with emotion. "When she wakes up, she needs to know that I understand, that I forgive her, that I love her even more now than I did before. Boss, there's something else. The investigation isn't over. If these people try to kill her once, they'll try again." Rex's expression hardened with resolve. "Then we make sure they don't get the chance. I want full protection on her, 24/7. And I want to know everything about every company mentioned in these files. If they want a war, they'll get one. But they picked the wrong woman to threaten." As Rex hurried back through the hospital corridors toward Thessaly's room, his mind raced with plans for protection, investigation, and justice. The woman he loved had nearly died protecting him from a truth that could have destroyed them both. Now it was his turn to protect her, to use every resource at his disposal to ensure that the people who had tried to silence her could never hurt her again. But first, she had to wake up. She had to survive long enough for him to tell her that he understood, that he forgave her, that their love was stronger than any conspiracy or threat. She had to live long enough for them to have the future she had sacrificed to protect. Rex pushed through the door to room 717, and his heart nearly stopped. Thessaly's eyes were open, staring at the ceiling with the confused expression of someone waking from a nightmare. The ventilator had been removed, and she was breathing on her own, though her face was still pale and drawn from her ordeal. Thessaly. Her name escaped his lips as a prayer of gratitude. She turned her head slowly toward his voice, her dark eyes widening with shock and something that might have been relief. Rex, you came. Of course I came. You asked for me. I thought. Her voice was barely a whisper, rough from the ventilator. I thought you would hate me too much to come. Rex moved to her bedside, his heart breaking at the pain in her eyes. I could never hate you, Thessaly. I love you. I've always loved you. Tears began streaming down her face, and Rex gently wiped them away with his thumb. I'm so sorry, Rex. I'm so sorry for everything I said, everything I did. I never wanted to hurt you. I know. I found the files, the investigation, the threats. I know why you left. You found. Thessaly's eyes widened with fear. Rex, you have to stay away from this. These people are dangerous. They'll kill you if they think you're involved. Let them try. Rex's voice was steel. They nearly killed you, Thessaly. They tried to take away the most important person in my world. Now they're going to learn what happens when someone threatens what belongs to Rex Cole. I don't belong to you, Thessaly said softly, but there was no anger in her words. No, Rex agreed, taking her hand in his. But I belong to you. I always have. And I'm not going to let anyone hurt you ever again. Have you ever loved someone who hurt you, but you'd still do anything to save them? Let me know in the comments, because what Rex and Thessaly are about to discover will test everything they thought they knew about love, sacrifice, and the price of truth. Dr. Martinez appeared in the doorway, her face glowing with professional satisfaction. Miss Monroe, it's wonderful to see you awake. How are you feeling? Like I've been hit by a truck, Thessaly admitted, struggling to sit up in bed. But alive, which is more than I expected. The specialist Mr. Cole brought in probably saved your life. The poison was very sophisticated, designed to mimic natural organ failure. Specialists. Thessaly looked at Rex with confusion. How many doctors are working on my case? The best in the country, Rex said simply. Money is no object when it comes to your health. Rex, you can't keep doing things like this. I'm not your responsibility anymore. You're wrong. Rex's gray eyes held hers with unwavering intensity. You're exactly my responsibility. You're my heart, Thessaly. You always have been. Dr. Martinez cleared her throat diplomatically. I'll give you two some privacy. Miss Monroe, we'll need to keep you for observation for at least another 48 hours, but your prognosis is excellent. As the doctor left, Thessaly and Rex found themselves alone for the first time in 8 months. The silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken words and accumulated pain. I know you probably have questions, Thessaly said finally. Just one. Rex's voice was quiet but firm. Why didn't you trust me enough to tell me the truth? Because I loved you too much to destroy your life. Thessaly's voice broke slightly. Rex, what I was investigating, it involves companies worth billions of dollars. People with that much money and power, they don't hesitate to eliminate threats. I couldn't let you become a target because of my choices. That should have been my decision to make. Should it? Would you have let me continue the investigation if you had known how dangerous it was? Rex was quiet for a moment, considering her question honestly. No, I would have tried to stop you. And I couldn't stop. Too many people had died because of what these companies were covering up. Children, Rex. Elderly patients. People who trusted that their medications were safe. Thessaly's eyes blazed with the passion that had first attracted Rex to her. I couldn't walk away from that, even to protect our relationship. So you chose to protect me instead. I chose to love you the only way I could, by making sure you couldn't be hurt by my choices. Rex felt tears stinging his eyes as he understood the full scope of her sacrifice. Thessaly, you nearly died tonight. Your protection plan didn't exactly work out. I know. I got careless, stayed in one place too long. They found me. She looked down at their joined hands. When I realized I was dying, all I could think about was how sorry I was that I had hurt you. How much I regretted that our last conversation was full of lies. Tell me the truth now. All of it. Thessaly took a shaky breath and began to tell Rex about the 8 months that had changed everything. The investigation had started small, a routine review of clinical trial data for her graduate research. But she had noticed inconsistencies in the results, side effects that didn't match the reported outcomes, patient deaths that had been categorized as unrelated to the medication. The more I dug, the bigger it got, she explained. 3 major pharmaceutical companies were collaborating to suppress negative data about their drugs. They were bribing FDA officials, intimidating researchers, even threatening the families of people who tried to speak out. Which companies? Harrison Pharmaceuticals, Meridian Industries, and Global Health Solutions. Thessaly watched Rex's face carefully as she named his biggest competitors. Rex, they weren't just hiding side effects. They were actively marketing drugs they knew would kill people. Rex's blood ran cold as he processed the implications. His own company competed directly with all 3 of those corporations, and if their practices were exposed, Cole Pharmaceuticals would benefit enormously. But more than that, the corruption Thessaly had uncovered represented everything he had sworn to fight against when he took over his father's company. How many people died? Conservative estimate. Over 3,000 in the past 5 years. Thessaly's voice was steady, but Rex could see the weight of that knowledge in her eyes. Rex, these weren't just statistics to me. I read their files, their medical histories. I saw pictures of their families. A 6-year-old girl who died from liver failure caused by a medication that was supposed to help her asthma. An elderly man who had a stroke because his blood pressure medication was actually raising his pressure instead of lowering it. Jesus Christ. I couldn't let it continue. Even when the threats started, even when I realized how dangerous it was becoming, I couldn't walk away from those people. Why didn't you go to the police, the FBI, someone with authority to handle this? I tried. But Rex, these companies have connections everywhere. The first FBI agent I contacted ended up transferred to Alaska. The second one told me that my evidence wasn't substantial enough to warrant an investigation. Thessaly's laugh was bitter. It took me 2 more months to realize that they had people inside law enforcement too. Rex's mind raced as he understood the scope of the conspiracy Thessaly had been fighting alone. So you decided to gather enough evidence to make the story impossible to ignore. I was going to take it to the media. 60 Minutes had agreed to do a story if I could provide ironclad proof. But then the threats escalated, and I realized that anyone close to me was in danger, including me, especially you. Rex, your company's success depends on your reputation for integrity. If it came out that you were involved with someone investigating your competitors, even innocently, it could destroy everything you've built. I don't give a damn about my company compared to you, but I do. I care about your dreams, your goals, everything you've worked for. I couldn't let my choices destroy your life. Rex stood up and began pacing the small hospital room, his mind working through the implications of everything Thessaly had told him. So you broke up with me to protect me, then went underground to continue the investigation alone. I thought if I could expose the truth quickly enough, it would all be over before anyone could connect me to you. But the deeper I dug, the more dangerous it became. And tonight I got sloppy. I'd been staying in different places, never the same location for more than a few days. But I'd been working on the final piece of evidence, the smoking gun that would prove everything. I stayed in the Queen's apartment too long. Rex stopped pacing and looked at her intently. What smoking gun? Internal memos from Harrison Pharmaceuticals. Documents that prove they knew their cardiac medication was causing strokes, but decided the profit margin was too good to pull it from the market. Thessaly's eyes brightened with excitement despite her exhaustion. Rex, I have emails from their CEO discussing how to suppress the negative data. I have financial records showing payments to corrupt officials. I have everything needed to bring them down. Where are these documents? Hidden. Multiple copies in different locations. Even if they had killed me, the truth would have come out eventually. Rex felt a surge of pride at Thessaly's courage and intelligence. Even facing death, She had ensured that her investigation would survive. Thessaly, with evidence like that, why haven't you gone public already? Because going public means testifying. It means putting my face and name on the story, making myself a permanent target for anyone who wants revenge. She looked at him with eyes full of love and regret. And it means dragging you into this mess whether you want to be involved or not. What do you mean? Rex, the moment this story breaks, every journalist in the country is going to want to know about our relationship. They're going to dig into your company, your practices, your connections to the industry. Even if you're completely innocent, the association with me will bring scrutiny you don't need. Rex stared at her in amazement. Even now, lying in a hospital bed after nearly dying, Thessaly was still trying to protect him from the consequences of her moral crusade. Let me make something very clear, Rex said, his voice carrying the authority that had built his empire. I don't care about media scrutiny. I don't care about business implications. I care about you, and I care about the truth. Rex, no, listen to me. 3,000 people died because of corporate greed and corruption. You've spent 8 months fighting for justice for them, sacrificing everything including our relationship to expose the truth. Now it's my turn to fight. What are you saying? I'm saying that Rex Cole and Cole Pharmaceuticals are officially joining your crusade. We're going to expose these bastards, put them in prison, and make sure they can never hurt anyone again. Thessaly's eyes widened with a mixture of hope and fear. Rex, you don't understand what you're saying. These people try to kill me. They won't hesitate to come after you. Let them try. I have resources they can't imagine, security they can't penetrate, and motivation they can't understand. Rex's gray eyes blazed with determination. They tried to kill the woman I love. That was their first mistake. Their second mistake will be underestimating what I'm willing to do to protect her. If you've ever discovered the truth was completely different from what you believed, share this story because what happens next will challenge everything Rex and Thessaly thought they knew about love, justice, and the price of standing up for what's right. Thessaly, there's something else we need to discuss. Dr. Martinez appeared in the doorway again, her expression serious as she held a tablet with test results. I have your complete blood work back, and there's something unexpected. Rex and Thessaly both looked at the doctor with concern. Is something wrong with the treatment? Rex asked. Are there complications from the poisoning? No, the treatment is working perfectly. Your recovery is progressing better than we hoped. Dr. Martinez approached the bed slowly, as if she were delivering news that might change everything. But we discovered something else in your blood work. Something that has nothing to do with the poisoning. What kind of something? Thessaly's voice was tense with worry. Miss Monroe, you're pregnant. About 8 weeks along. The silence that followed was deafening. Rex felt the world tilt on its axis as he stared at Dr. Martinez, then at Thessaly, then back at the doctor as if she had spoken in a foreign language. That's not possible. Thessaly's voice was barely a whisper. I would have known. I would have felt something. The pregnancy is very early, and you've been under enormous stress for months. It's not uncommon for women to miss the early signs when they're dealing with other major life challenges. Dr. Thessaly was quiet for a long moment, considering the question that would determine everything about their future. I don't know. Probably. Because the danger was real, Rex. These people who try to kill me, they don't discriminate. They would have threatened our child just as readily as they threatened me. So you would have protected our baby the same way you protected me. By disappearing, I would have done whatever was necessary to keep our child safe. Rex felt his heart breaking and healing simultaneously. The woman he loved had been willing to sacrifice everything, including their chance at a family, to protect the people she cared about. But now the stakes were impossibly higher. Thessaly, everything changes now. We're not just talking about your safety or mine. We're talking about our child. I know, and that terrifies me more than anything else. Thessaly's hand moved protectively over her abdomen. These people have already proven they're willing to kill. What happens when they find out about the baby? They won't get the chance to find out. We're going to end this before they can threaten our child. How? Rex, we're talking about billion-dollar corporations with unlimited resources and no moral boundaries. How do we fight something like that? By being smarter, better prepared, and more motivated than they are. Rex's voice carried the confidence that had built his empire. They made one critical mistake, Thessaly. They tried to kill you, and now I know exactly who they are and what they're capable of. That's not enough. Knowing who they are isn't the same as being able to stop them. It is when you have the resources I have. Rex pulled out his phone and began making calls. Marcus, I need you to coordinate with Detective Williams. We're going to share everything we found in Thessaly's apartment with the police. And I want full background checks on every executive at Harrison Pharmaceuticals, Meridian Industries, and Global Health Solutions. Rex, what are you doing? I'm declaring war on the people who tried to kill my family. The word family hung in the air between them, carrying the weight of everything that had changed in the past few hours. They weren't just former lovers anymore, or even just two people in love. They were about to become parents, and that reality transformed every decision they would make from this point forward. There's something else you need to know, Thessaly said quietly. The documents I gathered, the evidence against these companies. It's not just about the drugs they've already released. There are new medications in development, things that could help millions of people if they're developed properly. But if these companies continue their corrupt practices, how many people could die? Tens of thousands. Maybe more. Rex, one of the drugs Harrison Pharmaceuticals is rushing to market is a new treatment for childhood leukemia. But their trials show a 30% fatality rate that they're covering up. Rex felt sick as he imagined children dying because of corporate greed. Jesus, how long before it reaches the market? FDA approval is expected within 6 months. Unless someone stops them. We stop them. You, me, and every resource I can bring to bear on this problem. Rex, you're talking about taking on 3 of the most powerful pharmaceutical companies in the world. The financial risk alone could destroy Cole Pharmaceuticals. I don't care about the financial risk. I care about those children, and I care about making sure our child grows up in a world where people like this can't operate with impunity. Thessaly studied his face, seeing the determination and moral clarity that had first made her fall in love with him. You're serious about this? Completely serious. Thessaly, you've been fighting this battle alone for 8 months. You've sacrificed everything, including our relationship, to protect people you've never met. Now it's time for you to have backup. What kind of backup? The kind that comes with unlimited resources and a very personal motivation for seeing justice done. Rex's gray eyes blazed with purpose. These bastards try to kill my girlfriend and threaten my unborn child. They're about to learn what happens when you make an enemy of Rex Cole. Over the next several hours, Rex's hospital room became the center of a sophisticated investigation that would have impressed intelligence agencies. He brought in his top security personnel, financial analysts, and legal experts, turning Thessaly's months of painstaking research into a coordinated assault on corporate corruption. The pattern is clear, reported Sarah Chun, Rex's head of financial crimes investigation. All 3 companies show massive profit spikes immediately after negative trial data disappears from official records. We're talking about billions of dollars in revenue that should have been lost due to safety concerns. What about the regulatory connections? Rex asked. Extensive. We've identified at least 12 FDA officials who received substantial payments from these companies in the months leading up to drug approvals. Marcus spread surveillance photos across the hospital table. Boss, we've also identified the team that poisoned Thessaly. Professional assassins hired through a shell corporation that traces back to Harrison Pharmaceuticals. Are they in custody? Not yet, but we know who they are and where they're operating from. Thessaly listened to this briefing from her hospital bed, amazed at the resources Rex could mobilize in a matter of hours. What had taken her months of dangerous, solitary investigation was being expanded and verified by a team of experts with unlimited funding and sophisticated technology. Rex, this is incredible, but we still need something that will hold up in court. We have something better than that, Rex said with satisfaction. We have something that will destroy them in the court of public opinion and force law enforcement to act. What do you mean? Sarah, show her the media strategy. Sarah Chin opened a presentation on her tablet. We're coordinating with 3 major news organizations, 2 documentary filmmakers, and a congressional investigation committee. When this story breaks, it won't be a single article that can be buried or discredited. It will be a media blitz that makes the corruption impossible to ignore. The key is simultaneous release, Marcus added. All the evidence, all the documentation, everything goes public at the same time. They won't be able to suppress it or intimidate individual journalists. And legal protection. Rex's legal advisor, David Park, spoke up. We're filing whistleblower complaints with multiple agencies, securing protective custody for key witnesses, and preparing civil suits that will freeze their assets while criminal investigations proceed. Thessaly felt tears welling up as she realized that her 8 months of dangerous, lonely work was finally becoming something bigger than she could have accomplished alone. When do we go public? 72 hours, Rex said firmly. That gives us time to get you safely discharged from the hospital and moved to a secure location. I won't risk your safety or the baby's by rushing this. What about the assassins who tried to kill me? They'll be in federal custody within 24 hours, Marcus said with grim satisfaction. We have enough evidence to tie them directly to the poisoning, and they're going to provide testimony about who hired them in exchange for reduced sentences. As Rex's team continued their planning, Dr. Martinez returned with updates on Thessaly's condition. Miss Monroe, your recovery is progressing remarkably well. If your vital signs continue to improve, we should be able to discharge you tomorrow afternoon. What about the pregnancy? Everything looks normal. The baby appears to be healthy and developing appropriately. Dr. Martinez smiled warmly. You're very lucky. Both the poisoning and the stress of your situation could have caused complications, but the pregnancy seems to be remarkably resilient. Like its mother, Rex said softly, taking Thessaly's hand. Mr. Cole, I do want to emphasize that Miss Monroe needs rest and reduced stress going forward. This has been an enormous trauma for her body, and the pregnancy will require careful monitoring. She'll have the best prenatal care money can buy, Rex assured the doctor. And she'll be in a safe, secure environment where she can focus on recovery and preparing for the baby. After Dr. Martinez left, Thessaly and Rex found themselves alone again. The room was quiet except for the steady beeping of monitors and the distant sounds of hospital activity in the corridor. Rex, I need to ask you something. Anything. Are you doing all this because of the baby? Because you feel obligated to protect me now that you know I'm pregnant? Rex was quiet for a moment, considering how to answer the question that went to the heart of everything between them. The baby changes things, absolutely. It makes protecting you even more important than it was before. But Thessaly, I would have done all of this even if you weren't pregnant. You would. I love you. I've loved you since the day we met. I loved you when you left me 8 months ago, and I love you now. The baby is a blessing I never expected to receive, but it's not the reason I'm here. Then why are you here? Because you asked for me when you were dying. Because someone I love was in danger and needed help. Because the woman who owns my heart was fighting a battle she shouldn't have had to fight alone. Thessaly felt tears streaming down her face as she heard the sincerity in his voice. I love you too, Rex. I never stopped loving you, even when I was trying to protect you by pushing you away. We don't have to push each other away anymore. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Even if it means risking everything you've built. Everything I've built means nothing compared to you and our baby. As night fell over the city, Rex and Thessaly talked about their future with a mixture of hope and apprehension. The investigation was moving forward, the evidence was overwhelming, and justice seemed within reach. But they both knew that the next few days would be dangerous as powerful people faced the prospect of losing everything. Rex, what happens after we expose them? What happens to us? We get married, we have our baby, and we build the life we should have had 8 months ago. You want to marry me? I've wanted to marry you since our 3rd date. The only thing that's changed is that now I'm not going to let anything stop me from asking. Is that a proposal? No, that's a statement of intent. When I propose, it will be somewhere more romantic than a hospital room, and you'll be healthy enough to properly celebrate. I can't wait. Neither can I. But first, we have some corporate criminals to put in prison. The next morning brought news that changed everything. Detective Williams arrived at the hospital with an FBI task force and warrants for the arrest of 12 individuals connected to the pharmaceutical conspiracy. Miss Monroe, your evidence has been invaluable, Agent Jennifer Torres explained. Combined with Mr. Cole's resources and investigation, we have enough to bring down this entire operation. What about the assassins? In custody as of 6 a.m. this morning. They're already providing testimony about their employers in exchange for plea deals. Rex felt a surge of satisfaction at the news. What's the timeline for arrests? We're coordinating with media releases this afternoon. By evening, the story will be public and the perpetrators will be in custody. And protection for Thessaly. full witness protection until the trials are complete. Mr. Cole, we understand you're planning to relocate Miss Monroe to a private facility. The most secure location I can provide. These people have already tried to kill her once. We'll coordinate our security with yours. Miss Monroe's safety is our top priority. As the FBI team left to execute their warrants, Thessaly was discharged from Mount Sinai and transferred to Rex's private medical facility in the Hamptons. The facility was a state-of-the-art hospital that served high-profile clients who needed medical care away from public scrutiny. The helicopter flight to the Hamptons gave Thessaly her first real sense of freedom in months. Looking down at the city below, she felt like she was finally emerging from the shadow that had dominated her life since she began her investigation. "It's beautiful," she said, watching the coastline come into view. "It's safe," Rex replied, "and it has the best prenatal care facility on the East Coast." "You're really excited about the baby." "Terrified and excited in equal measure." "You." "The same." "Rex, I keep thinking about how different things might have been if I had known I was pregnant 8 months ago." "Different how?" "I might have told you the truth about the investigation. We might have faced this together from the beginning. Or you might have been even more determined to protect me, knowing that our child's future was at stake." "Probably. But at least we would have had these 8 months together instead of apart. We have the rest of our lives together. That's what matters now." The private medical facility was a revelation of luxury and security. Thessaly's suite looked more like a 5-star hotel room than a hospital, with panoramic ocean views and amenities that made recovery feel more like a vacation. "This is incredible," she said, settling into the comfortable bed with Egyptian cotton sheets. "Only the best for my family," Rex said, the word family coming naturally now. Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the facility's head of obstetrics, conducted a comprehensive examination that confirmed the pregnancy was progressing normally despite the trauma of the past few days. "Everything looks excellent," Dr. Walsh reported. "The baby is developing appropriately, and Miss Monroe's recovery from the poisoning is remarkable. What restrictions should she observe? Rest, proper nutrition, and minimal stress. Given what she's been through, I'd recommend at least 2 weeks of complete rest before resuming any normal activities." "She'll have complete rest for as long as necessary," Rex assured the doctor. That afternoon, as Thessaly rested in her suite, Rex watched the news coverage of the pharmaceutical conspiracy from the facility's security center. The story was breaking exactly as planned, with coordinated releases from major news organizations creating a media storm that made the corruption impossible to ignore. This is Rebecca Matthews reporting from Washington, where FBI agents have arrested the CEO of Harrison Pharmaceuticals in connection with a massive conspiracy to hide dangerous side effects from life-saving medications. 12 arrests have been made so far, including high-ranking officials at 3 major pharmaceutical companies and several FDA regulators. The whistleblower who exposed this conspiracy, medical researcher Thessaly Monroe, was nearly killed by professional assassins hired by the pharmaceutical companies to silence her investigation. Rex felt a surge of pride as he watched journalists describe Thessaly's courage and dedication. The woman he loved was being recognized as a hero who had risked everything to protect people she had never met. "Boss, it's working," Marcus reported. "Stock prices for all 3 companies are in free fall. Congressional hearings are being scheduled. The Justice Department is calling it the largest pharmaceutical fraud case in history." "What about threats against Thessaly?" "Nothing credible. With the leadership of these companies in custody, the threat level has dropped significantly. Keep monitoring. I won't take any chances with her safety." That evening, Rex joined Thessaly for dinner in her suite, both of them watching news coverage of the story that had dominated Thessaly's life for 8 months. "I can't believe it's really over," Thessaly said, holding Rex's hand as they watched footage of executives being led away in handcuffs. "It's not over. The trials will take months, maybe years. But the immediate danger is past. Those children who would have been hurt by their new medications will be safe now. The FDA is conducting emergency reviews of all pending approvals from these companies. We did it. We actually stopped them. You did it. You're the one who had the courage to investigate when everyone else looked the other way. We did it together. I never could have finished this without your resources and protection. Thessaly, I want to ask you something." "What?" Rex got up from his chair and dropped to one knee beside her bed, pulling out a small velvet box that made Thessaly's breath catch in her throat. "Thessaly Monroe, you are the bravest, most principled, most beautiful woman I have ever known. You sacrificed our relationship to protect me, risked your life to save strangers, and somehow managed to carry our child through the most dangerous time of your life. Rex, I love you more than I thought it was possible to love another person. I want to spend the rest of my life protecting you, supporting your dreams, and raising our children together. Children, plural. This is the first of many, if you'll have me. Thessaly Monroe, will you marry me?" The ring was a perfect solitaire diamond, elegant and timeless, catching the light from the sunset streaming through the ocean view windows. "Yes," Thessaly whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Yes, Rex, I'll marry you." Rex slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her with all the love and relief and joy that had been building in his heart for 8 months of separation. "I love you," he whispered against her lips. "I love you too. Forever." "Good, because forever is exactly how long I plan to keep you." As they held each other in the golden light of the setting sun, both Rex and Thessaly felt the peace that comes from surviving the worst and choosing to build something beautiful from the wreckage. "When do you want to get married?" Rex asked. "As soon as possible. I don't want to wait any longer than we already have." "What about a big wedding? Your family, friends, all the traditional things. All I need is you, me, and someone to officiate. Everything else is just decoration. I can arrange that. How does next weekend sound?" "Perfect. What about the investigation, the trials, the media attention?" "We'll handle it together. All of it. Rex, I'm done trying to protect you by pushing you away. From now on, we face everything as a team. Promise. I promise. No more secrets. No more lies. No more trying to handle dangerous situations alone." "Good, because I have a confession to make." "What kind of confession?" "I'm planning to start a foundation with the money we'll recover from the pharmaceutical companies. A foundation dedicated to supporting whistleblowers and investigating corporate corruption." "Rex, that's wonderful. But why is it a confession?" "Because I want you to run it. I want us to work together to make sure something like this never happens again. You want me to keep investigating corporate corruption. I want you to lead the fight against corporate corruption, with all the resources and protection you need to do it safely." Thessaly felt her heart soar with the possibility of turning her nightmare into a force for good. "We could really make a difference. We could change everything. Think about it, Thessaly. All the courage and intelligence and dedication you've shown over the past 8 months, but with unlimited funding and a team of experts to support you. And you would be okay with me doing work that might put us back in danger. As long as we face that danger together, as a team, with proper security and planning. No more going it alone. No more protecting each other by running away. Never again." They spent the evening planning their future, talking about the foundation they would build, the family they would raise, and the life they would create together. For the first time in 8 months, both of them felt hope that was unclouded by fear or uncertainty. 3 days later, the story took another dramatic turn when additional evidence emerged that expanded the conspiracy beyond pharmaceutical companies into medical device manufacturers and insurance companies. The scope of the corruption was staggering, involving hundreds of millions of dollars in fraudulent practices that had affected thousands of patients. "It's bigger than we thought," Agent Torres reported during a briefing at the medical facility. "Your investigation opened a door that revealed systematic corruption throughout the entire healthcare industry." "How many more arrests?" Rex asked. "At least 50, possibly more. We're talking about a conspiracy that reaches into every aspect of healthcare regulation and oversight." What does this mean for Thessaly's testimony? She'll be the key witness in multiple trials. Her courage in coming forward has made it possible to expose corruption that might have continued for decades. And security. Maximum protection until all trials are completed. Miss Monroe's testimony will put away some very powerful people who have a lot to lose. After the FBI briefing, Rex and Thessaly walked along the private beach outside the medical facility, enjoying the peace and privacy that would be rare once the media attention intensified. "Are you ready for this?" Rex asked. "The trials, the testimony, the public attention. With you beside me, I'm ready for anything. It's going to be intense. Defense attorneys will try to discredit you. The media will want to know everything about our relationship, and there will probably be protesters outside the courthouse. Let them come. Rex, I spent 8 months hiding in the shadows, afraid to let anyone know what I was doing. I'm done hiding. Good, because I plan to be right there with you every step of the way. Even if it affects your business. My business will benefit from being associated with truth and integrity. And even if it didn't, I wouldn't care. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me that no matter how difficult the trials get, no matter what the defense attorneys say about me or what the media reports, you won't doubt that I love you. Thessaly, after everything we've been through, nothing could make me doubt your love. I just need to hear you say it. I promise. No matter what happens in those courtrooms, I will never doubt that you love me. And I promise that I will never again try to protect you by pushing you away. Whatever we face together. Together. That weekend, Rex and Thessaly were married in a simple ceremony on the beach outside the medical facility. Dr. Walsh served as maid of honor, Marcus was best man, and a local minister officiated as the sun set over the Atlantic Ocean. Thessaly wore a simple white dress that accommodated her early pregnancy, and Rex wore a navy suit that somehow looked more elegant than any tuxedo. The guest list included only the people who had helped them through the darkest period of their lives. Do you, Rex Cole, take Thessaly Monroe to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold, in sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, for better or worse, as long as you both shall live? I do. I absolutely do. Do you, Thessaly Monroe, take Rex Cole to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold, in sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, for better or worse, as long as you both shall live? I do. Forever and always. By the power vested in me by the state of New York, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Rex, you may kiss your bride. The kiss was gentle and full of promise, witnessed by the people who had fought alongside them, and blessed by the ocean breeze that carried the scent of salt and new beginnings. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Mr. and Mrs. Rex Cole. As they walked back up the beach as husband and wife, Thessaly felt the weight of the past 8 months finally lifting from her shoulders. She was no longer alone, no longer hiding, no longer afraid that her choices would destroy the man she loved. How does it feel to be Mrs. Cole? Rex asked as they reached the facility. Like coming home after a very long journey. Good, because this is just the beginning of our adventure together. What kind of adventure? The kind where we change the world, raise beautiful children, and love each other more every day. That sounds perfect. It will be. I promise you, Thessaly, whatever challenges we face from now on, we'll face them together. Together. The trials began 6 months later, by which time Thessaly was visibly pregnant and glowing with health and happiness. Rex accompanied her to every court appearance, his presence a reminder that she was no longer the isolated researcher who had begun this investigation alone. The prosecution called Thessaly as their star witness on a Tuesday morning in federal court. She wore a navy maternity dress and carried herself with the confidence of someone who had survived the worst and emerged stronger. Miss Monroe, can you tell the court how you first became aware of irregularities in clinical trial data? I was conducting routine research for my graduate thesis when I noticed discrepancies between reported outcomes and actual patient experiences. What kind of discrepancies? Side effects that weren't being reported, patient deaths that were categorized as unrelated to the medication, and trial data that appeared to have been altered after the fact. For 3 days, Thessaly testified about her investigation, presenting evidence with the clarity and precision that had made her a brilliant researcher. The defense attorneys tried to attack her credibility, but her documentation was too thorough and her testimony too consistent to discredit. Miss Monroe, isn't it true that you conducted this investigation to benefit your boyfriend's pharmaceutical company? No, that's not true. I conducted this investigation because patients were dying from medications that should have been recalled or never approved. But you stand to benefit financially from the collapse of Cole Pharmaceuticals' competitors. I stand to benefit from living in a world where pharmaceutical companies can't get away with murder for profit. The courtroom was silent as Thessaly's words hung in the air. Even the defense attorney seemed taken aback by the passion and conviction in her voice. No further questions. The trials resulted in convictions for all 12 defendants, with sentences ranging from 10 to 25 years in federal prison. The pharmaceutical companies were fined billions of dollars and forced to establish compensation funds for victims of their fraudulent practices. Justice has been served, Rex said as they left the courthouse after the final sentencing. For now, but there are other companies, other conspiracies, other people who need someone to fight for them. And they'll have someone. The Thessaly Cole Foundation will make sure of that. The Thessaly Cole Foundation. Our foundation. Named after the woman who proved that one person with courage and determination can take on billion-dollar corporations and win. I like the sound of that. Good, because we have a lot of work to do. 1 year later, Thessaly sat in the nursery of their Hampton house, holding 6-month-old Grace Cole while Rex read bedtime stories to their daughter. The room was filled with soft light and the peaceful sounds of a family at rest. Once upon a time, there was a brave princess who fought dragons to protect people she had never met. Rex read from a custom storybook he had commissioned. Is that about Mommy? Grace asked in the serious tone that 4-year-olds reserved for important questions. Yes, sweetheart. That's about Mommy. Will I fight dragons too? Only if you want to. But if you do, Daddy and I will be right there with you. Promise. Promise. The Thessaly Cole Foundation had become one of the most effective whistleblower protection organizations in the country, supporting dozens of individuals who were investigating corporate corruption in industries ranging from pharmaceuticals to finance to environmental protection. Any interesting cases today? Rex asked as he tucked Grace into her crib. A researcher in Texas who's found evidence that an oil company has been covering up groundwater contamination. And a nurse in Oregon who discovered that a hospital chain has been performing unnecessary surgeries to increase profits. Sounds like we'll be busy. The best kind of busy. Are you happy, Thessaly? Really happy. Happier than I ever thought possible. We have our daughter, our work, our love, and each other. What more could I want? Another baby. Another baby. Grace should have a sibling, don't you think? I think Grace should have whatever makes our family complete. And what would make our family complete? Whatever we build together. Rex, I used to think that love meant sacrificing everything for the person you cared about. But I've learned that real love means building something together that's bigger than either of you could create alone. Is that what we've done? We've created a family, a foundation, a legacy of fighting for people who can't fight for themselves. We've turned our love into a force for good in the world. I love you, Thessaly Cole. I love you too, Rex Cole. Forever and always. As they stood together in their daughter's nursery, looking out at the ocean that had witnessed their wedding and their new beginning, both Rex and Thessaly felt the deep satisfaction that comes from surviving the worst and choosing to build something beautiful from the wreckage. Their love story hadn't been easy or simple or free from pain, but it had been real, honest, and ultimately triumphant. They had learned that true love isn't about finding someone perfect, but about finding someone worth fighting for and building a life together that makes the world a little bit better. The moral of their story wasn't that love conquers all without effort, but that love combined with courage, integrity, and shared purpose could overcome even the most powerful opposition. It was that sometimes the greatest act of love is standing together against injustice, even when it's dangerous or difficult or costly. It was that people willing to risk everything for truth and justice could change the world, especially when they didn't have to face that risk alone. It was that real strength comes not from fighting battles in isolation, but from trusting the people you love enough to let them stand beside you in the fight. Most importantly, it was that love isn't just a feeling between two people, but a force that can be channeled into making the world safer, kinder, and more just for everyone. Rex and Thessaly had learned that the greatest love stories are the ones that extend beyond the couple involved, touching lives and changing systems and creating lasting positive change. Their foundation would continue to protect whistleblowers. Their daughter would grow up knowing that courage and integrity matter more than wealth or power, and their love would remain a testament to the idea that two people united in purpose can accomplish things that neither could achieve alone. What would you choose, safety or love? Tell us in the comments, because love sometimes requires the biggest risks, but it also offers the greatest rewards. If this story of sacrifice and redemption touched your heart, subscribe to Lux Love Chronicles with Mr. Wentworth for more epic love stories that will challenge everything you think you know about courage, integrity, and the power of standing up for what's right. Share your thoughts. Would you sacrifice love to protect someone or fight alongside them no matter the danger? Hit that notification bell because next week's story will leave you breathless with another tale of love, justice, and the courage to do what's right even when everything is at stake. Remember, the greatest love stories aren't always the easiest ones. Sometimes they're the ones that require us to grow, to face our fears, to become better than we thought possible. Sometimes they're the ones that remind us that love isn't just about two people finding happiness, but about those two people using their love to make the world a better place for everyone. The truth is that we all have the capacity for courage, for integrity, for standing up to injustice when we see it. The question isn't whether we'll face difficult choices. We will. The question is whether we'll have the strength to make the right choice, and whether we'll be brave enough to stand together with the people we love when everything is on the line. Rex and Thessaly's story is ultimately about hope. Not naive hope that ignores reality, but informed hope that acknowledges the darkness in the world while choosing to be a light against it. It's about the courage required to love someone enough to fight beside them, to trust them with the truth, to believe that together you can face anything. But most of all, it's about the responsibility we all have to protect the innocent, to speak truth to power, and to never let fear keep us from doing what's right. Because in the end, that's what love really is. Not just caring for the people closest to us, but caring enough about the world they'll inherit to make it worthy of their dreams.